So as my college days are sadly coming to an end, oh my god, I'm gonna have to become an adult now. I was thinking about what movies actually scared me in college because I've always been a fan of the horror genre, but the things that used to scare me as a kid don't really scare me anymore, so it's like I've entered this whole new world. So I picked 3 movies that I watched here as a college student at the University of Florida that actually scared me to my core. So let's begin. So the first movie I'm going to talk about here is Hostel, which is directed by Eli Roth and talks about these American tourists that go traveling Europe and get caught in this rich millionaires hunting club where they literally capture tourists and all bid on them to see who can get to torture them in gruesome ways. This movie hits different, especially to me, who's someone who has traveled a lot to Europe. My parents used to send me every summer to France because most of my family lives there. So I've been to France, I've been to England, I've been to Spain, I've traveled a lot of Europe and I've been there a lot. So after watching this movie, it makes you never want to travel ever again in Europe, thanks to Eli Roth. But when people talk about this movie, the scene that usually comes to mind is the Achilles tendon torture scene where they cut the dude's Achilles tendon. And while that scene is very shocking, that's not really what scared me in the movie. The scariest scene to me in the movie, or I should say the most disturbing scene in the movie, is when our protagonist is escaping and he runs into this millionaire dude that's about to go torture someone, and the way he speaks about it, the way he's so nonchalant and acting like it's some everyday normal occasion, is truly a terrifying conversation. And what made this scene even scarier is this next part when he's talking to the guy and asking him whether he should kill her slow or fast, and the protagonist at least has some humanity in him and is like telling him do it fast so at least it's quick, but then the guy's like last minute like nah, f it, I'm gonna do it slow. That moment fucks with my head because it's just these endless thoughts of what is he gonna do to that poor girl. I mean, it's literally the fear of the unknown. No matter how scary something is, because this movie is gruesome and it is just disgusting, but at the same time, no matter how scary something is, there's nothing scarier than the fear of the unknown. If he would have been like, I'm gonna hack her up with an axe, yeah, that's a horrific thought to have in your head, but at the same time, by him not telling you, the fear of not knowing what he's gonna do and you just thinking endlessly of all the things he could possibly do, that there's nothing scarier than that. And that scene just really f***s with me. And then we later find out that he's drilling her in the eye. I mean, it's just a sick movie. It's a sick concept, and there's sick moments as well. So yeah, Hostel is one of the scariest / most disturbing movies I've seen in college because it's really the first time I dabbled in torture porn. I mean, I have seen Saw before this, but Saw was a little bit more goofy, whereas this movie is a little bit too realistic. It felt gritty at its core and really left a mark on me. Like by the end of it, I'm just taking a huge deep breath like, never going to Europe again. The second movie I want to talk about is Terrifier, and when I say Terrifier, I really mean Terrifier 1 and 2, because the first time I came around Art the Clown was when they were advertising Terrifier 2, and I must say the marketing was really good because the internet hype was really big going into this movie, so I decided to watch the first one before I went to the movies to see the second one. And then that's when I got to this infamous upside down scene, which if you haven't seen the movie, I'm about to spoil in 3, 2, 1. Art the Clown literally cuts a woman in half down her vagina. I hope YouTube doesn't demonetize this video. But yeah, that scene was literally jaw-dropping. And I'm not using jaw-dropping as an adjective. No. My jaw dropped. And it definitely left an impact on me. I mean, I will remember that probably forever. But at the same time, that's not what I found scary about these movies. Sure, that might have took me by surprise. I mean, that scene was jaw-dropping, but what I found truly terrifying, no pun intended, was David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. Art the Clown is scary. Just his look and makeup design alone is scary to look at. I don't even need a movie. I could just look at a picture of him for a good 5 minutes and get terrified. He goes right up there with the grandma from Insidious of things I don't like to stare at. And on top of that, I hate mimes. I think they're super creepy, so the fact that he doesn't talk in the movie and he just has like moments of dead silence really creeps me out. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. This scene right here, when the girl runs into him and he's just completely frozen, there's no jump scare, but the tension and the anticipation of waiting for what's gonna happen next is what makes it, to me, one of the most terrifying scenes in the movie. And another example of this is when he's in the pizza shop just staring at our protagonist and nothing breaks his eye contact. That is truly disturbing and really irritates me in the wrong way because it just makes you feel uncomfortable the entire scene. Like he's literally by himself in the corner just staring at you. Like that would be super uncomfortable in real life. And then we get to Terrifier 2, which doesn't have a scene that could rival the upside down scene in the first one, but I would argue this movie's even gorier and more intense than the first one. Some of the kills in there are straight up gruesome to the point where I couldn't even keep my eyes on the screen, and I've seen this movie twice. If you haven't seen the headlines by now, people came out puking from the movie theaters, and I am not surprised. This movie definitely pushes the boundaries. I would have to say is one of the most intense movies I have seen ever in my life. But after watching this movie opening night, I came out of the movie theater with my phone at 1%, and since it's such a long movie, it's almost 2.5 hours long. It was midnight in Gainesville. I don't have a car, the buses are no longer running, the only way I can get back home is by walking or ordering an Uber, so I'm opening the Uber app and making sure I'm going as fast as possible because I'm at 1%. Like if my app dies while I'm ordering the Uber, then it's over. Because you want to know the worst part? Oh my god, this is where it's almost like the universe trolled me. It's almost like the universe trolled me. But I was like, oh, I'll just ask one of the employees to give me a phone charger because they all have phones. So I go there, but guess what? I don't have an iPhone. I have a stupid Google phone because I hate Apple, so I decided to buy Google and refuse to give my business to Apple, which really bit me in the ass in this situation because nobody has a Google charger. So I was like, well, now I'm really on the clock, and then my phone dies and I'm like, I cannot imagine walking at midnight in the swamps of Gainesville waiting for Art the Clown to just pop out of one of those bushes. Like, I was panicking. Then luckily enough, one of the employees, like one of the cleaners, comes back and he's like, oh yeah, I have one of those chargers. So he saved my life. Shout out to that random dude. Alright, the last movie I want to talk about is Unfriended Dark Web. Now, before I go into this movie, I must tell you guys I am obsessed with the dark web. Like, I love going down YouTube rabbit holes of the dark web and binge watching scary animated videos of the dark web or Reddit horror stories. So I am obsessed to say the least, so I wanted to watch a scary movie that talked about the dark web, and Unfriended Dark Web is what popped up. And at that time, I had not seen the original Unfriended. I saw the trailer back in high school, but I never really had an interest to watch that movie. But when the dark web version came out, I was super excited as a college kid to watch this. And I love the fact that the entire movie is told through the webcam of a computer. Like I said before, this is the first time I had seen this because I haven't seen the first Unfriended or any movie like that beforehand. I'm sure it's been done, and this one wasn't the first movie, but for me, it was my first exposure, and I found it really cool because it really immersed me into the experience, and I feel like I appreciate this movie much more than someone like my mom would because she's not really this tech savvy, so to see all the way they maneuver through the internet, I thought was pretty cool. But the movie itself is about this guy who finds this laptop which belongs to someone who does his dirty business in the dark web, and then this movie gets really scary once he starts opening up the files on the computer and you see some of the most disturbing videos out there, like this one where you see this guy that's about to pour this bucket of who knows what. I mean, it could be acid or whatever, or this video right here. Like, it is just some disturbing ass footage that really fucks with your head because it makes me think like, bro, there's probably people out there. Like, the dark web is real, like for sure it's out there, and like there's probably people doing crazy shit like that, and that's what makes it like stick with you long after you watch it. But if you're someone that's also watched those animated horror shorts about the dark web on YouTube and you've enjoyed that, or Reddit horror stories about the dark web, then you're definitely going to enjoy this movie because that's exactly what it touches on, and those topics are what's being explored in this movie. Now, it does become a little bit goofy towards the end and a little bit unrealistic when the bad guy becomes this like cryptid, pixelated individual that comes on screen and hunts them down. It just gets a little bit far-fetched and Hollywood towards the end. But up until that point, when the guy's going through the computer files and the people in the dark web don't yet know that the computer's been stolen, that whole tension and buildup of the movie is one of the most terrifying things you're gonna find in a movie about the dark web. Like, you just feel the deep anxiety of the character while he's going and uncovering everything. and then the people slowly realizing on the other end that the person on this end of the computer is not who they think it is, and then them slowly cyberbullying them and like blackmailing him to ultimately killing him. It is a wild ride, which does get a little bit out of hand towards the end, but like I said, I'm a drunk college kid, so I was along for the entire ride. Like, just think about this thing that they talk about in the movie. It's called trephination, where they literally drill a hole into your skull through the bone, and you could be alive while doing this. Yeah, that's what this movie deals with. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Those were 3 movies that genuinely scared me to my core as a college student. It was Terrifier 1 and 2, Unfriended Dark Web, and Hostel. So let me know down in the comments below if these movies have terrified you, if you've seen them, and as always, leave this video a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.